Good morning. Good morning, everybody out there across the radio waves. Good morning, everybody across the universe. Where to begin? Where to start? I guess my MO, oftentimes my MO always comes from a place of like, don't look out in the world. Don't try and find any people to emulate. You got to find out who you are from yourself. Don't follow nobody, because they wouldn't do it like you. Meanwhile, I've got my own sort of inspirations and I've got my preferences. And life is always, we're always figuring things out. We're going to be figuring things out until the end. There's no point in time where you have it figured out and it's just like that. Like, I don't think the goal of life is to do your best to summit Mount Everest and then make a house there. No one wants to make a house on Mount Everest, and it would suck to live there anyways. The only thing you'd have, which isn't even much, if you were to summit Mount Everest, make a house there, and then live there, was that you'd be able to flex on people and say, yo, yeah, I pretty much summited Mount Everest, made a house there, I live there. Like, it's no more equivalent than being a little kid and saying, yeah, my dad's stronger than you. My dad's stronger than your dad. I see no difference between these two things. Achieving something just so you can flex about it isn't what makes you beautiful. Oftentimes, it's the sort of stench that can come with a person. That's our personal funk about things. These are our personal neuroses. And the goal of us as human beings isn't to chastise and shun and punish and reprimand people who do such things like this. It's like, I saw this video on Instagram. I saw this Reels on Instagram, and it was this girl that was dancing. And the way that she was dancing, it was captivating and it was awesome. It wasn't sexual and sensual and lusty, which is why it was captivating. It was like it's crazy. Like, I saw this 32-year-old woman dancing, and it was like I saw a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old who was just dancing in front of their parents to get love. And it wasn't this sad thing to me. It was like I was having some kind of beyond time kind of experience. Like, oh my God, isn't this it's okay. So there's this person who is dancing, and it appears to me like they're dancing to garner love or to get attention and meanwhile, it's like I'm already in love with this person. I'm already, I love them already. I'm sorry. There's no more. Look, the love is either on or it's off. It's already on. I don't know how to blast more of. Dude, we gotta get someone in here. We gotta get someone with higher voltage, higher amplitude. Anyways, a few things that I wanted to say. Well, first of which being, different strokes for different folks. I go on a social media. I'll go on Instagram, and it is like gambling. And the more I have an awareness of this, the better I feel about it. Because here's what my life experience is with it. I'll pop onto Instagram, boop. Perhaps I'm so soaked into an echo chamber that I can't get my way out of the sort of stratosphere of such echo chamber. I try and declutter everything. Dude, it feels like water is coming into my boat, and I'm just there with a bucket, like, trying to throw the fucking water out just to stay afloat. I'm like, no, less water come in. I want to sit in the boat a little longer. Fuck. And I heard, basically, the reason why it's gambling for me is because I'll hear various opinions from other people in the world, and I'm not saying that their opinions are wrong. But what I am saying is that every single one of us is going through our own journey through time. And somebody could be relaying a message that is green check mark. It checks all the boxes. It's 100% de facto correcto for them in that moment in time. After they've went through and undergone so many various chemical processes and experiences that have brought them to that vector point on the path, and we just get to see the sort of tip of the iceberg of everything that they've processed in their experience, then boom, we get it in this neat little kernel of a seed. Do you know the sort of macronutrients on a nut? On a seed? Yeah, dude. Seeds and nuts are superfoods. And so same goes for some kind of ideas, concepts, food for thought, ideas. Some of these are superfoods, super nutrient dense sort of experiences compacted into word form. And so what it can do is somebody could be on a different path than you, and they can sort of, something could drip down into your experience, and it'll alter what you will perceive your life to be. And you might even just sort of live your life based off of the wisdom that they have incurred, even though it's unearned wisdom to you. You might be able to process and understand that you're sort of dealing with something that has some sort of mass behind it, has some sort of underlying kind of stable structure that can prop up the sort of ideas that are being passed out through the beacon of them. And so you feel like there's something you can trust in it. I suppose what I'm trying to relay here is that every single one of us has a very particular sort of, I don't want to say message that we bring to life. Maybe vibe is a kind of thing that we bring to life. Every single one of us has a very uniqueness, an essence that we bring to life. And to go over there and appreciate somebody's essence, that's great and that's good and that's well. What the fuck am I trying to say? I suppose what I'm trying to say is that I don't know where I've picked this idea up and why I want to say that this is what consensus reality is. I don't know where or when I picked this idea up, but I have this kind of vague idea that it's like caked on tartar or some kind of cavity in my mouth that's just there. And even if I brush my teeth, it's been there for so long. It's like I can't just whiten my teeth by brushing my teeth at this point. It's like it's there, okay? It's there for some time. But I have this idea that has been caked on there into my mind about society. You know, people will say, you know, you got to maintain eye contact. You got to look out. You got to look straight out into the world. You know, you got to look upon the horizons. You got to look far out. You know, even people such as Mac Miller, they'll say, keep your eyes to the skies, never glued to your shoes. I'm a kind of person that says we can't pin the universe to anything at all. This is what I pin the universe to. I pin the universe to uncertainty. I pin the universe to a kind of chaos. I pin the universe to an introverted, internalized, collapsible dimension that can unfold, at will, at random, and sort of zoom in, enhance, and fractally, infinitely go inward upon itself. If the universe is forever expanding outwards into space, and there's all the sort of celestial bodies, I think it also does the same internally in our sort of experience of things, in our minds, in the ways that we experience, in the ways that we express, etc., etc. And there's this idea that might be pushed around in the world that you have to be a kind of person. When you walk the earth and you see other human beings out there, you got to look them in the eye and you got to say, "Hello, are you good today? Huh? How are you?" And we can so easily sort of force ourselves into this sort of idea that we have to interact with each other on the physical plane. I see you, you see me, I say hi, you say whoa. And this is the kind of idea that I'm breaking away from. If this was an idea, that would be my origin story. The one where you learn how to be a person. The people around you, all the sort of adults in your life, they sort of teach you how to be a person in society, teach you how to be a person amongst other people, how to be social, etc., etc. And as I've grown, this is an idea that I've branched away from. Now I return more to a sort of individualistic sort of perspective on the world. That is, I might not be able to brighten everybody's day by who I am as a person, but maybe I might be able to brighten somebody's day if I tend to my own space well enough. If I can make my, if we all have our little gardens, our little walkways, foyers, our little environments, what kind of effect can I have if I just really try my best to make the best sort of environment that I can, right? The pervading, the sort of marker bleed out idea that I'm getting at, the double entendre of this, the nuanced sort of ulterior meanings to this is, external space, the way that I tend to the actual environment before me, and then sort of like in a Taoist, a sort of internalized, how am I moving? How am I feeling as I go through life? Life isn't always about grabbing the bull by the horns, is something that I constantly sort of come back to. Life always, I feel like life in my eyes is, in my experience of things, is, it'll sort of give you reoccurring lessons in all aspects of your life. You'll sort of incur these various like reoccurring kind of plot points, little areas where you're to, hey, did you pick up what you learned before? Hey, are we still and it just sort of happens until you start seeing the patterns throughout the various sectors of your life. And so there's ideas out there that I think are that sound good, but they can point a lot of people in the wrong direction. Especially people who might be more introverted, especially people who might be more reserved. People that might be less inclined to just expand out. Pop up, kick open the fucking doors. Poof! Yo! I'm here. What's up? Good morning. Hey, everybody. Hey, Shanice. Hey, how you doing, Cheyenne? What's up, everybody? I'm back. I'm back. Am I more than you bargained for yet? And this is like, dude, I'm out here for my people right now, dude. I'm like, when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city. All right, I'm talking for the Black Parade right here. All the people out there that look down, okay? The people who are like, dude, our stresses, our problems are people-oriented problems. They can be. And what I have found is that it's so easy to fall into the idea that the world wants you to sort of light yourself on fire to appease other people. That the world itself looks down on removing yourself from situations. And so, time and time again, we can find ourselves betraying. I don't know who we're betraying in this moment. Are we betraying ourselves? Are we doing a disservice to other people? Are we subjecting other people to the sort of Eeyore versions of ourselves? Hello, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to say hi to you, but I'm saying hi to you. Are we sort of doing this? Or would we be doing ourselves, the universe at large, a favor? Would our minds sort of be receptive and happy of our choices if we chose to remove ourselves in the situation? Depends. It totally can. It definitely can. I think that the world itself rewards a kind of movement, motion in any direction. Because when you're riding on a bike and you're going really slow, you just wobble, you're about to fall, you gotta catch yourself with your other foot. But when you have a sufficient enough speed, you're able to sort of carve wherever. So you're able to just sort of navigate. If you've ever ridden a bike, I don't really have to take this analogy much farther. You can always do a 180, you can always pull a Yui, The best, the greatest thing about life that I've figured out is that all the time, dude, we try and make things perfect on our first pass through. We want things to look so good, we want things to look as though we have things figured out. We want to look like we have the pattern sort of set in stone, that it's meant to be, and it's fate and it's destiny, and we're sort of in groove step, just perfection, right? In time, in space, in time, we are the experience. I have freed myself from the judgment of the mind that might happen if I were to put myself out there and perhaps embarrass myself, or come across like one of the Three Stooges or some kind of klutz, or that I don't have it figured out. Look, here's what it is. Like, we're sort of in some kind of battle, a war between A lot of us can be. A lot of us can be in a sort of battle or war with a kind of trauma. Like, if we don't behave in a certain way, if we don't XYZ, we're going to get sort of punished and reprimanded. The mind is going to chastise us. The mind is going to hit us and say, you're annoying, you're bothersome, you annoyed me. And so what can happen so easily is we can shut in, we can, sort of cower, we can get away from that, Ooh, uh-oh, dad's angry. Everybody run. Get the fuck out of here. Go! What are you doing? Go move. Wait, you didn't take the fucking chicken out? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Hide the belt. So I have no qualms about literally, I have no qualms about seeing somebody out in the world and just fucking fuck it. I'll do a 180. You think I care? Oh, dude, I will do a 180 right now. I'll do a 180. I'll do a 360. I'll moonwalk out this hell. I'll do a long jump, hurdle. I'll do it all. Got no qualms about it. And this is because what I recognized is the world is love. Now, isn't this a funny fucking message to say? The world is love. The world can be love, okay? Like, what I've come to understand is that I've come to understand a little bit more about me and what I love and my preferences and what I like, even. Like, I saw this woman who was walking down my cul-de-sac earlier today, and she was wearing over-the-ear headphones. She was like, she was sort of like a moon person, or like a dark, she was like an elderly goth woman. Someone that looks down, whatever, introverted, what have you. And it's like, I saw her. I saw something that I loved. Okay, I saw something that I was like, oh yeah, like, I've definitely, wow. I totally know she's aware of me. I'm aware of her. It's like, and we're sort of dancing together. Like, I'm sort of living my life through my lens of being in love, extruding love through me. This is sort of how it looks, and it doesn't. What did I get from that? Dude, what I got from that is that there's this pull, there's this tug of war inside of me, especially, well, maybe not especially, but in my case, because I'm a man in his mid-20s, there's a huge sort of there's an idea that propagates that says you have to be masculine man, you've got to be provider, you've got to be who's gonna carry the boats, who's gonna, if not now, when, if not you, who? And it's like, it turns these sweet little loving children into people that are like, I'll do it, I swear, I won't do it again, I'll be good, I'll do it. Holy hell, Jesus Christ. And, it makes the strongest people, dude, like, dude, when people's backs are against the wall, we can do incredible shit, right? And so it pushes people to, crazy limits. Like, pressure makes diamonds. Yep, pressure makes diamonds. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you are a person that I mentioned before, I can give you the picture. I'll give you the picture. We look down, hands in pockets. We're more narrow as opposed to broad. We're more we're like a piece of paper that can slide under the door, right? We're like goo. We're like goo. We're gooey people, dude. Fucking gooey. So if you're a gooey person, you've probably gotten a card from somebody that said, like, Jesus loves you. And you thought to yourself, that's great. Thanks. So I suppose it was partly that. Was there anything else? Anything else at all? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I guess the through line, sort of idea, message, behind this whole thing is that don't fall into the sort of disillusionment that you need to be proving yourself to yourself. Like, I have been through this experience enough times to say that I don't need to prove to myself that I have the ability to do things that I don't want to do just so I can say that I'm better than them. I don't need to sort of I don't need to go head on into something that makes me uncomfortable to sort of blast through it and break it apart. Like, I don't need to, because I recognize that it's old trauma just sort of festering in my mind. It's an old pain body sort of whispering in my ear like that Voldemort head on the back of that turban man in Harry Potter.
If you don't go over there and look that person in the eye and wave at them and experience them and encounter them, then you're gonna be a bad person and you're never gonna win in life and no one's gonna love you and you're a coward and you'll never ever achieve any of your dreams, because if you can't do this little step, then how can you do the big one? And
holy, where did you come from? Did you hear that? What else would I like to say? Life is an experience. Life is a really long playlist of all of the greatest, most impactful, influential, and moving music known to man, known to humankind. We've got some courageous, boisterous rap in there that'll, it has the sort of effect, like, if you listen to it, you will instantaneously grow 10 pounds of muscle right there, like in an instant. You'll immediately, your beard will sort of fill out, right? Boom, all of a sudden, whoa, where'd this chest hair come from? This sort of, it's sort of adrenaline, your adrenal glands, the sort of epinephrine that's getting fired through your system through that kind of music. Boom, we got this song in our playlist. We've got swing jazz, okay? We've got Cool G rap, dude. We've got goddamn the Electric Slide. Are you kidding me, dude? We've got Uptown Funk. We've got 24 Karat Magic and You Got. We got Thriller. We've got music. Interstellar soundtrack is what we've got. Dun 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 dun. We've got contemplative thing. Life is an experience to be had, okay? And life are the moods of music. To enjoy the music is to feel the music. To enjoy life isn't to want to get through the playlist really fucking fast. It's not to put the music on times 64 speed, so it's da 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 fucking jackhammer our way through. I've experienced it all really fast. Yeah. The fuck are we doing? What are we doing, dude? So last night I was laying down in my bed. Real quick, I'm in this chapter of my life where anytime I pull out my phone, I'm trying to be hyper productive, right? I'm really trying to produce more than I'm consuming. I'm trying to take in less information and just sort of extrude everything that I've got and take other people's perspectives with a grain of salt to really sort of taste the food without any seasoning. And so I was real quick, I was about to catch some shut eye for a little bit, and I went on to Spotify. I was like, oh, is there any podcast? And I was like, nope, no podcast. What am I doing? Because I'm it's kind of like being in the throes of addiction, right? Anytime you want to change something in your life, you have a little window of sort of fighting off the habits. Like, I bit my nails for years, and I'm at this point in time where my nails have grown in, and now I pick at them a lot, or I'll catch myself sort of biting one, and I'm like, this is converse to how this is not how I want to live. I don't want to be biting my nail. Okay, It's like if I caught myself mid-snack, just... No, don't do that. Don't do that. Sort of like doing a sort of behavioral fix. I oscillate between ideas between like you're good, you're perfect how you are, and then also like the balance of the opposing idea, which is like, well, yeah, you're perfect the way you are, and you have the ability to make changes in your life. So you don't have to accept everything that goes on, and you can sort of change your trajectory. You can change your trajectory and want to go somewhere else and be something other than what you are, while simultaneously, like, loving who you are in the moment, even if... Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that you know, the sort of image of what winning is looks like we're always... And it always looks like the person who's on top of the pedestal, they look like they just fucking ran up the steps like Rocky. They're jumping, their hands are in the air. Yeah! Yeah! And like, this is my idea of what it is to be successful, to be winning in life. I got the sort of imagery of a different aspect of what winning is last night especially. And I'd love to share it. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So that whole tidbit about nails changing and whatnot. Then, wanted to take on less information or whatever, and just sort of battling with the sort of initial impulses of behaviors that still have some inertia in my life, that I'm applying friction to. You know, so I was like, what music will I go to bed with? I guess nothing. What kind of podcast will I guess nothing. Went on YouTube. What kind of video will I saw a picture of Ram Dass, and I said, and I just heard in my mind, be here now. And I also heard, I am loving awareness. And this moment in time, I'm like, hell yeah. So all I did was turn off my phone. I just shut it down, turn it off, radio silence. And I could have cried in that moment of time. Like tears of joy, tears of beauty. You know, all of a sudden, you know, all of this noise is... You remember that scene from Ratatouille where that fucking... evil critic, you know, just the mean critic, the critic everyone's worried about, pops in, and he's like, you know, he's just harsh or whatever, and then he eats that fucking ratatouille dish, and that, you know what I'm saying? You know, he eats that dish, and then he's like, and you're just transported into his memories, and all of a sudden he's just a little fucking kid. He's just a little goddamn kid. He got a little scraped knee from playing outside, and then his mom plops that little plate of ratatouille down, and he's just eating for a moment, and he's just, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. I just blasted back to the past like that, and then all of a sudden, just in the same way that he sort of collapsed into that memory, he's extruded back into the moment in time, and he's like, oh my God, 8 stars. Give me 18 of them. I love it. I want to be a stockholder in this. I want to invest in this. This is great. I love you. Thank you. Jesus. Thank you. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. You know, I had this kind of experience. All I had to do was turn off the noise, and then what happened was I was laying down in the darkness of my room, just sort of illuminated by the night, the moonlight coming through the blinds a little bit, and just it's crazy. It's crazy in the same way that like a smell will sort of blast you back to. It has like this kind of like, whoa, it'll attach itself to memories, chapters of your life. Music can do the same. It's like patterns of light can do the same too. The play between light and shadow. It could sort of take you to a certain time in your life that you might have not even sort of really put any sort of significance into it. But, it sort of, it came along the journey, sort of like a fucking Chef Boyardee can, followed you home. The snack that smiles back, goldfish. And so I was just laying there, and in that moment, it was kind of like, fuck going to sleep, dude. I'm not laying in my bed with my eyes closed to go to sleep. No, I was just laying in my bed, sort of bizarrely, it felt almost like I was shooting some kind of scene in some kind of movie that was being filmed, where the sort of prompt was like, hey, pretend like you're sleeping right now. And so, my consciousness or whatever was just sort of there, and I was feeling my experience from what it felt like to be, positioned in this sort of form of, the way that my body was laying. I was very aware of my body and my thoughts and, the sensations and whatnot in that moment in time. And it was, yeah, dude, it made me feel sentimental. It made me feel serene. I'm telling you, dude, it was the kind of beauty that makes you cry. Because you're like, oh, I never thought I would, what the hell, oh my God, something like that, and then I just sort of roll back, I roll onto my back again, and I'm just sort of looking at the light, and I'm like, I was taken into a time that, it's like a liminal space. It's like, I hate that it's limited to, I hate that it's limited to a word such as happiness or bliss or subtle ecstasy, quiet, appreciation, soft love. But you know what? I had a grand ass time. I did. I definitely did. And it was amazing, and it was beautiful, and I love it, and yes. And then I think this might be the final little tidbit of whatever going on here, perhaps, before I wind down and do other things. It's this idea that it's not about what you're doing, it's about how you're doing it, I sort of, in this moment in time, man, whew, what a can of worms. This is an interesting one. I've got this sort of aversion to technology right now in this point in my life. And it comes from a place, the reason why I have this, I think, is because it's the sort of rubber band snap on my wrist to me, to snap me back. Okay. I shouldn't be scrolling away. Okay, don't scroll. Do your best to not consume, the sort of ideas of other people, because then they're going to live inside of you for a while, and then you're going to have to do what you can to sort of like process them out. I'm doing like a digital data fast, a fasting of, information consumption. Doing more of an irrigation kind of system in my life. Whatever and what have you, and so on and so forth, and this kind of thing. And so anytime, I'll find myself sort of popping onto these various social media platforms, I'm like, I'll discus throw my phone across the room. No! Kya. And, I suppose I'm also sort of, along this process of things, I'm going through this kind of thing where, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I am on my phone, perhaps I don't need to be, swinging so hard into the sort of, swinging into the rejection of it so crazily hard. Like, would I be able to do this in a kind of mindful way? Would I be able to take it slower? I think to myself, if I do this kind of thing and I am very intentional about every flick of my thumb as I go about this thing, would it make a difference in my life? If when I'm looking at that page, if I'm holding my phone like an old person, holding it with one hand and then sort of going in with my opposite hand, does that change my experience with this thing? Am I don't know. I don't know. I honestly think it's one of those things that it's just messy. It's messy, dude. I'm like, but oh my god! But this is the kind of thing this is why I love the world entirely. And this is why I think that some Christians got the wrong message about everything, dude. They hear the things about the devil, and they say, fuck the devil. I hate him. He's evil. Everything, it's the best. Everything is there for you. Everything is every little thing is some kind of, it's all information for you to sort of feel out what you should be doing, where you should be going, how you should be handling things. And we don't necessarily need to pour our energy and invest in the sort of hatred of whatever thing, or sort of perpetuate our own sort of neurotic behaviors about such things. That life, in a way, it can be perceived as like an escape room, like a fun time escape room. That every environment that you're placed within has a sort of, it's got its own sort of, whatever, key under the mat, or thing to cherish, behold, and to experience, to perceive, to absorb, process, and discharge with until you move on to, the sort of next phase of your life where you do the same thing, more or less, you sort of process your experience until you take what's nutritionally valuable about that thing, and then you expel the rest. So, everybody, this has been such a fun freaking time. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. I hope hey. So, I'm gonna go do some other things now. I'm gonna sort of hermit crab back into my shell, and I'm gonna go radio silent on him. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go sand the floor. I'm gonna go freaking jacket on, jacket off. Okay, I'm not gonna jacket on, jacket off. Not yet. I think I'm gonna paint the fence first. I think I'm gonna sweep the floor. I think I'm gonna sweep the floor a little more. And just... Okay. You get it. Alright. So on that note, everybody, I'm gone like Donkey freaking Kong. I'm no good at goodbyes. Goodbye. Goodbye. I'm no good at goodbyes.